afternoon, everybody. I would like to call the Flint Board of Education regular board meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Board member, as I call your name, could you say present for the record? Trustee King?
Present.
Treasurer Looney is absent. Trustee Rutherford?
Present.
Vice President McIntyre?
Present.
Trustee Booz?
Present.
Secretary Perkins?
Present.
Myself, President McNeil. We have 6 present and 1 absent. I would now call upon Secretary Perkins to read the district mission statement and first statement in the standards of practice.
District mission statement. It is the mission of the Flint School District to develop a community of learners who are prepared to live, work, and contribute in an ever-changing society. The Flint Board of Education standards of practice. In order to provide outstanding leadership and better serve the Flint community schools, we, the members of the Flint Board of Education, commit to the following standards of practice. Number 1, we will be consistent in our dealings with each other as well as students, staff, and community.
Number 2, we will model trustworthiness and honesty in our relationship with each other, with our superintendent, and with our constituents.
We will focus on a common goal of providing the best education possible for the students in the Flint Community Schools.
We will respect the diverse views that each of us bring to the organization, as well as the views of others that we interact with as we carry out the business of the Board of Education.
We will be open and authentic with each other, our staff, and community.
As we work to make decisions, we will focus on issues, not personalities.
Our decisions will be student-centered and based on objective facts.
We will practice good listening skills and better understanding our fellow Board of Education members and constituents.
Thank you. I will now seek a motion and a second to approve the minutes from the February 10th special board meeting, February 11th special board meeting, and we did the February 11th Board Committee of the Whole meeting, February 18th special board meeting, and the February 18th, 2026 regular board meeting. Board member will take a few minutes to review the minutes.
So moved.
Support.
It's been properly moved and second. Are there any correction to the minutes? Seeing none, the motion to approve the minutes from the February 2026 board meeting will be conducted by roll call vote. Board members, as I call your name, please say yes or no. Secretary Perkins,
Yes.
Trustee Booz,
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre,
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford,
Yes.
Trustee King,
Yes.
Treasurer Looney is absent. Myself, President McNeil, we have 6 yes, 1 absent. The board will now hear comments from the public. We ask that you state the reason for addressing the board and that your remarks remains to 3 minutes on matters within the authority of the board and not address individual by name. The presiding officer of the board should have the right to limit the number of persons who may address the board on the same subject. Please state your name and zip code before beginning to speak. You can just come up there and speak as you please. Please feel free to speak. And I do want to make this announcement. When you're doing your comments, normally at the end of our meeting, then board will make comments to what you're saying.
Okay. Good evening.
Thank you.
My name is Terry Bush. I am a LSS 101
You need to
parapro.
speak into your mic.
My name is Terry Bush,
Thanks.
and I'm an LSS parapro. I'm sorry, I'm nervous.
That's okay.
Here at Brownell STEM Academy, and I've worked for the board for 32 years. I mean, for the schools for 32 years. This school year, I have worked as a one-on-one parapro in a CI classroom with an autistic student in the 2nd grade. On Friday, March
Excuse me.
13th of this year,
Excuse
I
me.
was informed.
I really want to hear you. Could you adjust her sound? Thank you
You want me to
so
start over?
much. Yes, ma'am, please do. We're going to restart your time. Thank you.
All right. My name is Terry Bush, and I'm an LSS paraprofessional at Brownell, and I work for the Flint schools for 32 years. This school year, I have worked as a one-on-one parapro in a CI classroom with an autistic student in second grade. On Friday, March 13th of this year, I was informed that I was being moved to another student in the 5th grade. My concern is the student I'm being moved to has displayed dangerous behavior to others in our building. I have seen him chase a student down the hall because he was going to beat him up for teasing him, and several staff members had to talk him down. I witnessed him tearing things off the wall that we had put up out of the classroom, and he tried to enter our room without permission. There have been several occasions I have been told about the vulgar and disgusting things he has said to others, especially women. I have heard about him throwing a chair at his teacher and starting a fight in his classrooms. For these reasons, I feel it would be a danger to work with the student, a danger for me to work with the student. I fear for my safety and well-being. He's about my height and almost 300 pounds, and there's no way that I will be able to handle him. He has no respect for women. Those are the ones he targets, and they have just said that I'm going to do this, and I don't feel comfortable being with him. I sent a letter to LSS about my concerns, and they did not respond until I got a letter from the principal saying we're having a meeting with them tomorrow. So I'm just not comfortable. I don't feel safe working with him because of his past behavior.
Thank you very much. And like I say, it's going to be like a short meeting, and you will hear comments from the board or superintendent at the end of the meeting, if there are any. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next public speaker.
Good evening. My name is Sabrina Miles. I too have 32 years in this district.
Congratulations.
I'd like to speak on something that I feel is unseen or ignored. Every day, I work with students who learn differently due to various learning disabilities, diagnosed as well as undiagnosed. The GSRP program is the entry point for all early learners. What I want you to understand is that our GSRP program staff members are not compensated for the constant physical and emotional adjustments that are required when working with students that learn differently. Our GSRP program understands that students who learn differently deserve to be supported, understood, and given every opportunity to succeed. It is also important to acknowledge the value of our work as well as recognize our efforts. It's time to think about fairness and compensation for the Flint Community Schools GSRP parapros. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else would like to speak? Public speaking? Feel free.
Hello, I'm Nicole Bellman. I am a parent of an autistic child who goes here, and his parapro is Ms. Bush over here, and recently, as she stated, that they are planning on removing him from my son as being his parapro. And my concern is that he is not able to function without someone there to, help him every day with every daily thing that you need to do, and I'm uncomfortable sending him to school without having his parapro. So that's my concern. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else from the public who would like to speak? Seeing none, as I stated before, Your comment will be addressed shortly. This should be a short meeting, and Superintendent Jones is the one that would address your questions, because this is his role at this point. At this time, I will have a presentation regarding the enrollment initiatives from the Director of Student Service and Centralized Enrollment. Mr. Ermest Steward, please come forward.
Board of Education, if I may, Board President.
Sure.
Mr. Stewart and the Enrollment Student Services Department has been working at our ask to build upon what the Board of Education has been speaking about in our meetings about enrollment, also working with partners to ensure that we start our initiative earlier than last year. So the work that Mr. Stewart has done has not only been vetted by himself and his team, but the cabinet as well, as we continue to move forward. And thank you, Mr. Stewart, for your time and your effort in being here tonight.
Thank you, Superintendent, and good evening, Board.
Good evening.
As Mr. Jones was saying, I've been working with my team, and we've been trying to, our goal is to strengthen enrollment and retention district-wide. And so we put together a plan to do just that, right? To be more, to strengthen our efforts when it comes to enrollment and retention. And we have 4 focus areas that we want to look at when we look at strengthening our enrollment and retention. Number 1 would be retaining current families that we already have in our district, preventing scholar withdrawals, engaging former families, and increasing enrollment. That's our ultimate goal, is to increase enrollment and retain those current families who are in our district. Just a few bullets here. When we look at retaining current families, I just noted a few things that Flint Community School is currently doing and that we look to strengthen even more as we roll out this initiative. Creating a positive school culture that's inclusive, trauma-informed, PBIS practices, restorative justice, MTSS, all of those things are a part of us strengthening a positive school culture for our students. Being in the Director of Student Services, when I deal with more than 150 or more administrative release to lead the district every year. And one of the major reasons they want to leave the district is through the school culture, the culture and environment. And so we must improve that and create a positive school culture. Secondly, family-centered enrollment. So what that means is that we're prioritizing enrolling siblings in the same building to reduce burdens. So to be more convenient for our families, if it's appropriate to where we can enroll all the kids in the same school, then that's what we'll do. And that's what we prioritize. Now, we do know that there are some times during the school year when classrooms are full, and we have to look at placing students in other buildings. So in doing that, we also look to see if that building can take all of the kids instead of just one. So prioritizing the family-centered enrollment is a big one because, most of our families, they don't want to go to multiple schools for their children. They want us to go to one building and deal with their children, unless that kid is a 7th grader or high school where they know that they have to go to different schools. And just to reduce that burden. Intentional family engagement. Okay, so we know as a district that we have to improve on family engagement. We have to get our families more involved in our students' education. And we're currently, we have monthly meetings, incentive-based, and intentional scheduling for families with students in multiple buildings. So what that means is, if I have a student in Brownell-Holmes in Southwestern, we have to make sure that those family engagement workers are scheduling their family meetings or their parent meetings on different days to where the parents can attend those meetings if they have students in each one of those buildings. So we have to be intentional about that. And then targeted family support. This is a big one for us because a lot of times, what you guys may fail to realize is that a lot of our parents come to our district because of the support that we have for their children. And we want to improve on that, right? So we want to work on removing barriers, providing additional resources to ensure all families, and especially those in the special population. And when I refer to special population, I'm talking about special education. You know, you have McKinney-Vento, you have your foster care students. Those are considered our special population that we have to make sure that we focus on and we provide all the access and benefits for, that they require. Okay? So those are just some target areas that the team and I sat down and we discussed what we need to focus on doing this initiative. Our next topic is preventing scholar withdrawals, okay? So exit prevention conversation by staff, and that's building staff and district staff. You can't hear me? Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? Oh, okay, yeah.
Perfect.
Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
That's okay.
So preventing scholar withdrawal, okay? That's, like I said, that's building staff as well as district staff. So no longer should a parent come and say, I'm going to withdraw my student, and we just give them paperwork and say, okay, withdraw your student. Have a conversation this is to have conversation with those parents and try to figure out, okay, what is the reason why you want to leave this district, right? And then, just have those conversations at the building level as well as the district level. I've had multiple conversations like that this year, and we were able to change the parents' mind to maintain their students in Flint Community Schools. So I think that we need to be intentional about those conversations when parents come to withdraw their students. Whether they're upset or not, we need to go that extra mile to be intentional about finding out why they're leaving. Okay. Identify the root causes through surveys and neighborhood canvassing. So this is a pretty big one here. We created a couple of surveys that we have, you're probably going to see later on, that we created a survey to ask parents, why they're leaving the district. We've created a survey that's going out to former parents. I think I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but it's just a number of surveys that we've created to get information, get feedback from parents around the root causes as to why they're leaving the school district. And the neighborhood canvassing, when we look at neighborhood canvassing, we want to start that early, all right? We want to start that, once the weather gets nicer and we're able to get out in the streets and knock on doors with flyers and things of that nature to just, have conversation with parents, go to businesses, any type of event. We have tables and things like that set up for Flint schools for enrollment. But it's an intentional effort to find out why parents are choosing to take their kids elsewhere and what we can do what we can improve upon to get them to reconsider enrolling their kids in Flint schools. We're going to partner with a group called Concentric. I'm pretty sure you guys are aware of them. You guys have approved for us to work with them, and they're going to work with us on the canvassing and things of that nature. We have a canvassing team like our attendance agent, but the more we have in the community, the better. We can cover more ground with more people. And again, we already created the QR code for the Flint Community Schools Satisfaction Survey. And if you come down to central office, there's a QR code. If you scan it with your phone, the survey pops up, and parents can answer questions around, what are we doing now? Why are you, what makes you continue to trust us with your student? Okay, why did you leave? And just get that type of information from parents. So this QR code is going to be given to all the buildings. So when parents come into the building, they can just on the go, they can just scan it and answer their question and keep on going. And then Ms. Willis, who's our communications person, she would be able to get that information so we can look at it. And it's ongoing, right? So it's not just this period. It's gonna stay out there to where if we want to look at it every quarter to see what people are saying, we can do that. So that's a way that we're trying to gather that information as well. Clear pathways for timely concerns resolutions. As you guys know, we have a lot of parents who have concerns about what's going on. So the district has created a communication protocol for parents, and that's been vetted by the cabinet. And so that tells parents like the process for communication when they have concerns, who to go to, and if that person doesn't respond, who the next person to go to. So that's been already created by the district.
So, can I interrupt?
Yes, you can, sir.
So with that communication protocol, we sent it to the principals for vetting, and it's coming back to cabinet for one last look, and then it's coming to the Board of Education. So I just want you all to know we have not put that out into the district yet. We wanted the principals to have the opportunities to vet it, to add to it, and to bring it back to cabinet, which will be Monday, and then it will be sent to the Board of Education for you all to see that process and what that looks like, so that we can put that out to the public. Okay, so that's
Thank you.
forthcoming.
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. Okay. And then we have principal-led retention efforts and family engagement during tours and conferences. So when we say principal-led, you know, our parents visit our buildings. Our buildings must be welcoming, you know, and our principals and our administrators in the building has to lead that charge. So most of our parents will withdraw their students based on their experience at the building, not the child. You know, so we need to make sure that we have that the principals lead, you know, the initiative around making the building look and feel welcoming to parents and students. Okay, almost. Okay. All right, the next slide, we're going to discuss engaging former families. So we came up with, it's on here as campaign, but we're going to do, call it an initiative, a We Miss You initiative, right? So what we've already done, we've already gathered names of parents who have left the district over the past year or so. And I believe it was around 300, right? Around 300 parents that we've sent a survey out to already to get some information on and find out, you know, why they left and what we can improve upon to get them to reconsider returning to Flint Community Schools. Okay, so that's the We Miss You program. So that, you know, and we're going to do personalized phone calls from building enrollment teams, highlight district academic, building, and support success. School experience review surveys. Now, at the bottom, this is something that we have not been good at doing. We have not been good at telling our story. And so in everything we do, we have to tell our story. We have to get out and be the dictator of what's being said to the community, because if we allow someone else to do it, then we're running behind them trying to correct it, right? So we need to tell our story and be out there first and forehand just saying, hey, this is what Flint Community Schools is doing. Academically, this is what we're doing. And so I think that's a big part of this whole initiative, is that we're going to be telling our story, okay? And that leads us right into telling our story, getting our story out there, which we can try to improve or increase our enrollment. So as you can see, increasing our enrollment is centered around marketing and messaging. You know, that's, you know, district-wide, you know, why Flint Community Schools is the best choice. Right? We need to tell people why we're the best choice. Because if we don't know why we're the best choice, or if we don't feel like we're the best choice, then why should they? Building specific points of pride. So those are like when we have these tables at these events, we have brochures with points of pride from each individual building and district-wide to pass out to parents. Staff visibility and parent scholar testimony. So we're going to work with communication to get with some of our current families who just love Flint Community Schools, and we're going to have them do some testimonies and for like videos and things of that nature. You know, again, telling our story. The digital strategy, that's around enrollment graphics and videos. That's social media. That's all the same thing. And you see, I ended it with tell our story. Okay. So the next couple of slides, I'm not going to go through each one, but it's a timeline for increasing enrollment, and it's the things that we're doing around. You got kindergarten roundup, you got Ready, Set, Succeed program. That's when we're working with the center, and the ISD is going to go to each and every building, and we're going to have enrollment staff there if parents want to enroll so they can enroll students. We're going to have pop-up events, and you have a timeline. What we want to do this year is really focus on like buildings being involved as well. So we want all of the orientations. This is what we want, right? We want all of the orientations and open houses to take place before school start.
Thank you.
We want it to happen during the month of August, and it leads up to our grand finale. The event will be the back to school event, right? And that would be the last thing we do to bring kids into the upcoming school year. So that's the way we want to look at doing this year and try to work that out. All right. So I'm just going to let you guys look at that. This is certain timelines. Those are all the things that we're doing. Some of them we've already started doing, but you have that information. And then I'm going to get to the real reason why I'm here.
Okay.
Why I'm here. That last page, the budget page. So we're here as a team to ask that you approve us to have a budget of $52,000 so we can do all of these things, so we can put all of these things in place. Now, you see in red that the budget increase is due to, we added kindergarten roundup this year and the back to school event. Last year, they were paid out of a different grant, and we don't have that this year. So this is the budget that we're asking for. This is the amount that we're asking for to put the things in place that we just went over.
Thank you.
Okay?
Great job.
Thank you. And just for your visual, this is a copy of like the Flint Community Schools Satisfaction Survey where they can just scan their QR code and get.
Great job.
Yes.
So, Mr. Steward, just before you walk away, I want to yield the floor to the board members. If there are any questions or any comments before I seek a motion?
Okay. Board members, we'll just go around the table. Trustee Perkins?
I think it's a good effort with the communication piece to the former families especially. And then when you find out, you know, what their specific concerns are, that we go to targeting those, compile those and target them. And let's focus on really driving that home because you can get some of them back. I've gotten some back in our schools. I put certain things before them. Some of them didn't know we had the athletics back, you know. Some don't even know about the STEM Academy, where kids 6 weeks old up to 8th grade can go right here on campus. There are a lot of things that we just don't say when we should. So if we target those things, and then I would like to see a little including the board in some of the TV, radio commercials, because some of us are drawing people.
Trustee Perkins is in it.
Huh?
It's included.
Oh, is it? Okay, well, you asked. Well, that's all I got. Because you know I will go. I'm trying to get them back.
Trustee King? Yes.
Awesome. First off, I would start with a couple thank yous to you and your team. I know you don't do everything alone, knowing you and your enrollment team, doing everything. You got a couple team members here today. I want to say thank you. One thing I do also want to note is how you owned what we didn't do well. What are we not doing well? We don't see that from a lot of leaders to admit, hey, we're not doing this well right now. But you not only just admitted what we weren't doing well, you tell us what we want, what we're going to do differently to achieve the things we want to do well in. So I want to commend you and your leadership for that. Is, you know, some leaders is hard to grasp, but you shared that today, and I want to commend you for doing that piece. As we dive into, no, wait, before that, also thank you for the conversations you held to retain students. So when parents come frustrated, having that conversation. Sometimes it's hard to be in the complaint person, consuming it all, right? Turning it back to make it a positive and, you know, retain parents. So thank you for you and your team work that you do. As it pertains to the budget piece, can you help me understand what would go into movie theaters?
Oh, okay. That was something new that we came up with this year. So you guys know how you go to the movies and before the movie starts you have all of these little trivia and things like that? It could be a video, it could be something from Flint Community Schools that shows before every movie.
Yeah,
Promoting Flint Community Schools.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about.
that's a good deal.
Now that's outside the box thinking. Now I saw there was a school district that was at a a skating rink recently. But I'm thinking that's outside the box. But here in a movie theater, as they go watch the new movies coming out lineups, hey, that's a good thinking. Good job with thinking, you and your team, for coming up with that one. What would go into when you talk about supplies, what would supplies look like? Like itemized, is that paper? Is that?
It's everything. It's paper. Then it's also like when we look at the event, things that we want to give away to students, like raffle offers, things like that.
So those kind
and
of
just really
giveaways.
just supplies, just getting supplies to where we can do, because it's going to take paper, it's going to take
gonna take
things
those
that
things,
we
yeah.
need to get done to do all of this advertising
Okay.
and marketing.
Okay.
So yeah.
Lastly here, so before we did a PR push with the same billboards and TV radio commercials, will we be using the same platforms that we used previously, or will we be adding some?
So what we're doing is I'm working with Ms. Willis, and then it's like we looked at one venue that she felt like didn't really work, and so
Okay.
so we're not going to use that this year. But we will be using the billboard, yes. If we can put up more, I would love it, right? So that's what we're looking at doing. The more the merrier, just whatever our budget would allow us to do.
Awesome.
Yes, all right.
I did see the engagement piece. Superintendent, did I see something about TikTok doing videos in here? I like that idea. That's a good idea to engage families, and as they're scrolling in the middle of the night, hey, join Flint Community Schools while you're thinking about it at nighttime. I like that idea. But thank you for your leadership. Thank you for coming with bold ideas, trying something new, especially in movie theaters. Now it's out. People are going to try to do it differently, but I'm excited to see us do it first, in my opinion, that I've seen. So thank you for that.
All right. You're welcome.
Great job. Trustee Boots?
Yes, I really like this layout. This is really nice. And what I like most about it, you re-engaging the parents. You're getting the parents engaged. I would like to see a conference for the parents. You know how you have I know you have it in here, some type of conference, to educate the parents, or to, I don't know, it can be something to benefit them. It doesn't have to be just, no workshop or anything like that. I'm talking about a real conference where they can come and you actually doing something for the parents, that, especially the ones who decide to remain here in the district. It'd be nice to have something special for them.
Okay.
And under this budget, I don't see any brochures. Do we have any updated brochures with the schools that we have open?
We will be working with Ms. Willis to create those.
Okay,
Yes.
'cause I didn't see that in the budget. Would that go under
Well,
supplies?
that's probably under supplies or some of the other things that we use the funds for.
to this budget.
I mean, a
you
brochure,
wanna-
You know, when it comes to the kids, you can always come back, so that's not an
okay, you can,
issue.
yeah. Brochures are quite expensive, but
Yeah,
it's
it's in
okay.
there.
that's it.
That's it. Trustee
Yes.
Rutherford?
Good evening, Mr. Steward.
Good evening.
And you know, I'm coming from a whole different lens. As I listen to the public comments and I hear you, it's not congruent. You can't fix what's wrong in your house, outside your house. I would love to see the teachers be surveyed. It could be anonymous so they can be honest, so that you all work and communication won't be in vain. People leave districts because how they're treated. People leave districts because they feel as though their kids could get something better. Flint is known, and you know I'm a product of Flint years ago. Flint has, the pillar of Flint is academics, athletics, and administrators. We've always had the best teachers. Everyone knows Flint schools produce the best. When you are no longer producing the best, you got to do a personal evaluation. How are we missing the mark for our students? I don't call them scholars, I call them students because they haven't obtained it yet. We, as the leaders, started with the board, must change the culture. You got that right. I agree with that. And I've been echoing that since I've been on the board. To change a child, you change the culture. Do you, as administrator, don't answer, and also teachers behind you, do you feel like when you come to work every day, the expectation is for students to learn? Don't answer me, but that right there is the core question. And I can speak, 98% probably say no, because they're frustrated, they don't feel heard, and they don't feel safe. I didn't see anything addressing safety in this. That's just a part of our culture, and that has to be a priority from my perspective. And also, we have a lot of behavioral issues in the district that where we once, it was the other way around, to where our behavioral population has outgrown, quote unquote, if I could say the normal population, the general population, let me use that word, I think that sounds better. So it's like we have to shift our emphasis towards our population of our students. So once we gain control of that, people come back to district because of teachers. It's word of mouth. My child is doing this, my teacher is doing that, and people pretty much copycat, if you will. So as I hear individuals talk, because what I do for my day job, I see the insecurities, I see the concerns, I hear the concerns. So I don't like for entertainment purposes only. I don't. Our kids are much more than that. I like for them to be challenged. I like for them to have goals. Even a child that was mentioned today, that child needs a one-on-one, and that child family needs wraparound services. But that's not on teachers. So we have to build up our personnel that can address that, and that's what partners outside the district. Just like you said, you have so many behavioral issues come across your desk. We don't have half as that as it relates to students that are successful. It's like they get overlooked. But the goal is those that are succeeding in this environment, can we talk to them, see how they're able to maintain, and maybe we could spread that. So when I look at this budget, I would like for you guys to look at it again and put it towards things that are opportunities. Because see, if you give a child an opportunity, you give that child an opportunity to learn something. Exposure. When I was in school, we didn't have things, but we had opportunities. We were able to travel to a museum in Chicago. We had goals. When you got into 6th grade, you knew you were going somewhere. So I'm just saying, allow you and your team come up with goals that students can see and that they can obtain. Because right now, you're competing against social media. And so it's like you got to regulate that with the parents because we can't win when it comes to social media. And that's my take. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee McIntyre?
If I may say, respond real
Well, just let trustee McIntyre finish.
Oh, okay.
Because I just want to make it clear, you're listening to our response. You don't have to respond.
Right.
You're presenting requests for a budget for this right here.
Mhm.
So certain things we going kind of out of the square. So
Okay.
do not feel like you have to address it. We're addressing what you presented. Proceed.
We're just the individual board members, so it's not like you have to, I mean, you act on the board as a whole, not just individuals. So these are like constructive
Trustee.
comments, yeah. So I wanted to start off by saying, it is really good to see you give a presentation. Often you're just stuck to the side, and you're a big asset to our team. And I'd like to see you presenting more, because you've got a very great presence, and you did a great presentation. And I'm excited because this is the first time I've seen you a little bit excited and enthusiastic, and maybe even a hint of a smile there. And I'd like to encourage that, because we want to give you the tools and empower you to be successful in what you have to do. And it seems maybe like you got a little bit of that, like you can see the improvements happening, and you know, it's on a roll. And I think you're doing a great job, and I just wanted to thank you for that. You mentioned a couple of things that I'd just like to underline to highlight. I like how you talked about positive culture. I think that we're really working hard to make things more positive. I think you're a big part of that, because in conjunction with that, you mentioned restorative justice, and I'd like to really lean into that. Not the punitive, the punishment, but that's one thing we have going for us that other school districts don't, is that we really have an emphasis on the restorative justice. And when you talk about telling our story, we really went, and I say this a lot, from 2016 to being really punitive and punishing, and having a lot of expulsions and suspensions, to really eliminating that, to the point where the ACLU came in and we had a lawsuit and stuff. And we're totally different now. And you've been there at the thick of things through all of that. So maybe we could get that story out a little bit more and highlight that a little bit more. The positive culture in terms of like the front desk, I'd like to see also the administration building as well as the different schools, just be more warm and friendly. Not that they're not warm and friendly, but just that, hey, come on, join us. This is the Flint community. And I wanted to thank you especially for the intentional scheduling that you talked about, because I know that has been a problem in the past, and that's, but you don't think it really makes a difference. But when you've got little things like that, it can get really frustrating, and those frustrations can build up over time. And those are the tiny little cuts that lead to a parent, finally they have one cut too many, and they're like, that's it, I'm out. With removing, with families asking to be removed, I think it's important to know that we need to let them go if they really want to go. But I like how you talked about having that conversation and understanding why, and really trying to figure out what could be done to change their mind, not just like releasing them, but also being, mindful of that. So I think those were all the things. Concentric coming to work with your group, I want you to really feel encouraged to take advantage of that support. They use a technique called ethnographic methodology, and that can be linked to the stories and to really reaching out to people. But I could go on and on and on, because you mentioned a lot of things that I think are really great, and I just want to say great job. Although one more point with the advertising, I love your your innovative thinking with that. I've noticed lately that there've been some billboards and some bus signage that have really leaned into Powers Catholic High School and Grand Blanc into their girls' sports accomplishments. So like we've seen billboards that say, hey, Powers has done this with their, it doesn't have to be necessarily girls' sports, but they took some wins that their sports team had been doing, and I'm wondering if maybe we could do that, like, hey, congratulations, boys basketball or girls basketball or softball or, you know, whatever is going on, and maybe, because that's kind of exciting to see, and it gets people involved. And I have to give you a thumbs up for the movie, because I see those things all the time, and that would be a really good strategic, low cost, I mean, comparative to other things, ways to get things done. But thank you so much.
Mr. Stewart, I really want to really thank you and your team. So this is where I'm at. Without good leadership, which you just presented, who was the team that helped put this together? Because it looked like it was a lot of, what you call it, think tankers involved in this. And the reason I say that, because we have so many issues, and we're addressing those really main issues as it relates to enrollment. Because without enrollment, we can't take care of our teachers. Without enrollment, we can't get one-on-one where kids need one-on-one. So I think we're going in a direction to help you with your situation, but we still can address your situation. But how don't you identify the team that did such a fantastic job?
That would be the enrollment team from Student Services.
Can we get names so we shout it out?
Oh, yeah, that would be, Mr. Menuway is here, isn't she?
Shout out. Stand up, stand up. Let's see the team. There you go.
She's also our attendance supervisor and our McKinney-Vento person.
Okay.
We also had Miss Kim Willis. Mr. Jones don't want me to take her, but she is a part of my team as well.
Okay, all right.
Kimberly
Hey,
Willis.
this is celebration time.
Yeah.
Hey, give yourself a hand.
And then we had Angelica Anderson, Sharon Brooks, who am I missing?
You better
Miss
look around, you can't miss anybody.
Megan Brown, and Miss Kasim. So all of them was a part of the team. And then once we brainstormed, got things together, put it all together, and then we brought it up to the executive team and the cabinet, and we went through that, you know, piece by piece to get what you have today.
I really appreciate you. I've been on the board for the audience for 6 years, and trying to get, yeah, listen to that, and trying to get to this point is just amazing to see how leadership and teamwork really cuts out. And I always tell people, take the politics out of leadership, then I can see your needs. And I don't do leadership with politics. On that note, Mr. Jones, you can ask for the motion.
Sure, be glad to. Seek a motion and a second for the board to approve the enrollment initiative budget of $52,000 for tonight at the regular board meeting.
So moved.
It's been properly moved and second. Is there any discussions? Lose.
One of us.
She moved it. Who seconded? Okay.
Okay, one of them did. Thank you very much. So only the discussion I have is that when it comes to enrollment, our teachers and our children, the money we got left, we're going to spend it on that. So if you need a little bit more, you got a willing board to really give it to you.
Amen.
We will proceed. Are you going to do the roll call? We will proceed with a roll call vote. Secretary Perkins,
Yes.
Trustee Booth,
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre,
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford,
No.
Trustee King,
Yes.
Treasurer Luna, absent, and myself a yes. If the motion passed, 5 yes, 1 no. Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart.
Then next, we have a presentation on academics and the graduation initiative from Ms. Kelly Thiel, Director of Academics, and Ms. Traci David, FBO Consultant. Congratulations, ladies, and have a seat. Great job.
Good evening, Board. It's a pleasure to be here this
Good
evening.
evening.
So excited with what we're bringing to you today.
Yes.
We'll be bringing you two parts of a presentation on the graduation initiative that has been deemed the other R4, readiness, resilience, results, and rewards. And then we'll also be doing academic updates for you this evening with a little bit of data.
Thank you, Ms. Fields. Good evening, Board. I just want to say that it has been truly a pleasure working with Ms. Fields on data. We've actually spent the last couple of Sundays hashing out data and talking about some really great things that are happening in the district. She's been able to connect a few dots at the state level as we talked to Superintendent Jones, and so we're excited to come back to you since MD finalized data, cleaned up the data, and we've had some opportunities to say, here's where we are today, and I think you will be very happy with some of the growth made, even though we know that there's a lot more work to be done. And then, of course, we have the graduation initiative that I'm super excited to share some of the ideas with Kelly. Well, Kelly's going to share them, Ms. Fields. But she did a really good job thinking it through and knowing that it's not a final plan. There will be things we'll continually add. And one of the things we're looking for, she'll talk about board involvement, but we also want you to have ideas of how you want to be involved in the initiative outside of what we think would be some good ideas. So we're going to get started.
So, Board, we're going to be talking about our graduation initiative first. And on the immediate calibration of this work that we're doing tonight, we're going to be looking at the importance of accountability and starting those meetings off in the next week with our counselors, identifying our students that are at risk, and ensuring that we have a plan in there to close the gap for them. We're also going to make sure that this graduation initiative is a visibility campaign, and that it doesn't just include the superintendent's office, but the Board of Education, principals, teachers, students, families, and it really has been planned with the intention of making sure that it's a whole community effort. And then finally, it's going to be kicked off with the mailing of the Covenants of Success letter and our commitment to make sure that we see every student to the threshold of graduation. So the why. It's a mid-year calibration for us to be able to kick this off. We've done a lot of work around identifying what are the key areas that we need to work on in order to make this, implement this framework into fruition. And we started with thinking about the foundational class of the 2038. That's our current kindergartens. We'll be focusing on building foundational literacy, social emotional readiness, and ensuring that we are building a graduation culture where every student knows that they can go ahead and achieve and they'll be able to make it to the threshold of graduation. We're also going to be kicking off this launch with making sure that we're focusing on our current freshmen. We want to make sure that we address that freshman slide and that the intensive academic interventions are available in both the Tier 2 and Tier 3 areas, that we are making sure that we're getting credit recovery opportunities for our students to make sure that those that are not on track can get back on track, and that we are building programs around resilience that is focused on mentoring through both the efforts of adults, but also through peer mentoring as well. So starting with the foundational readiness class, where foundational readiness is what we're deeming it, in the class of 2038, and understanding the importance of building a culture of future graduates, where students are centering their goals and successes around the idea that not only do they have a future as a person, as an individual or scholar who could walk the stage, but also what does that post-secondary success look like, and how can we help shape their goals and dreams. Some of the things that we'll be doing to promote graduation initiatives and making sure that kids, scholars can have the practice at it, is by instilling monthly marches where pomp and circumstance is played during the attendance and celebration portions of what they do in the building, with the expectation that students can get familiar with what graduation and celebration feels like. In addition to that, we're looking to host a family roadmap breakfast at the end of this year, where we will center our kindergarten families in helping our parents and helping our scholars to understand the steps that they need to take on a year-by-year basis, and making sure that we are creating opportunities where we're not just supporting them in a roadmap, but that we're walking along the way with them, and that we are providing interventions, supports, and wrapping both the families up and our students up as well. That brunch is going to be centered around preparation for the next 13 years. But our anticipation is that we've already started some work with kindergarten summits, identifying students that are at the tier 2 in kindergarten. We had one last week where we provided some supports to be able to help our families know what they could do at home to support their young people in kindergarten, but also to be able to reduce some of the behaviors that have plagued some of the kindergartners that we have across the district. In addition to that, we're going to be rolling out a future self silhouette, and that's where our young people are going to be doing silhouettes of themselves. And then our plan and anticipation is that they will, with the support of their teacher, create a vision of what they would like to look like as their graduating self in 2038. And our anticipation is that we would capture those digitally and we'd be able to provide those keepsakes to our parents and for them to be able to keep through to graduation in 2038. In addition to that, we would be engaging with the class of 2028 or 29 in having our freshmen interact with our kindergartners across the district. We have currently a small kind of like pilot right now that's really rooted in literacy and reading, where ALA students are going over to Eisenhower and they're reading with the young people over at Eisenhower, and it's been really, really successful so far. So our hope is that we can grow on that success and that we can continue to partner our seniors with our littles and then just be able to close a gap there. Going on to the kindergarten identity activities, we've already talked a little bit about that silhouette art and that understanding that these are life-size self-tracings where the students are able to go ahead and imagine their 2038 career selves. In addition to that, as I'd mentioned, the monthly marches and helping to build understanding of what graduation feels like, whether it be the formality of it or whether it just be the opportunity to learn about what graduation could feel like. In addition to that, one of the things I'm particularly excited about is to kick off the next year focusing on our next young people that would be our new kindergartners for the class of 2039 would be the signature wall. And so we would be creating campaigns across the district where we would have a central location with a countdown to graduation for our those young scholars. On their first day, hopefully, or someday in that week when we get all of our kindergartners together, they would be signing their banner, which we would also like to see follow with them. And then it would be our board members would be strategically placed across the district to help usher those young people in as the new class of 2039. And so they will be signing their banners and they will be imagining themselves and then be rooted on by our board members. So, and we know it's important, and I don't think that, I'm not going to say this lightly. I've had the experience of knowing this community very intimately as it pertains to young people as a former alternative principal. And there's nothing else, if there's nothing I can think of that's more important, is the importance of building up resilience in our young people. Our kiddos in Flint have seen some hard times. And we want to make sure that they are not just building up resilience for the trauma and the hard times they might have seen, but we want to build resilience in them to be able to make it to the next level and be able to have post-secondary success, and that those are things that we're ensuring and that we're centering on. With our class of 2029, some of the things that are already in play is I have my counselors currently working on identifying our students that are on track and off track for the from the first semester for our class of 2029, so our current freshmen. We're developing a goal-keeping sheet that our young people would be able to track and they would be able to use to track their own goals. And it's also going to lead to this to an event that I'll talk about in just a few minutes. So their goals will be part of this event. Credit recovery, which already is accessible at Southwestern or at ALA. We're going to be building in programming going into the next year where credit recovery and policy might be able to help support young people get to the finish line in a timely fashion. In addition to that, we're identifying graduation coaches, which again might be in the sense of an adult, whether it be a janitor, whether it be a counselor, whether it be all of the folks in the schoolhouse have to have a, responsibility to the young people that are there. So we'd like to build some relational capacity for mentorship for adults, but we'd also like to see the importance of being able to pair children together. So maybe some seniors with freshmen that are successful and being able to model those behaviors that we'd like to see in our kids across the district. And then last but not least, I'm going to try my hardest to get this off this year, but we want to do a May commitment brunch. And at that May commitment brunch, that would include our board members, superintendent, and our principals at our high school. And we'd like for our freshmen to take those goals that we've had them construct, and then we would like for them to be highlighted at this May commitment brunch. At the May commitment brunch, they'll be talking, making future goals and helping them to track them going into the coming years in their sophomore, in their junior, and their senior year. The exciting, I think, thing about that is that a lot of times we wait until decision day, and we wait till kids make decision, and we're not waiting until they make the decision. We're putting in front of them now the opportunity for them to carve out their future, and then to be supported appropriately with knowing what they want to do, knowing how they want to get there, and then allowing us to be able to support them to do that. I'm going to nerd out right now on you guys because this is probably my favorite part of the presentation. I put together a pretty fun TikTok strategy that I'm super excited about. It's a series of TikToks, and these are just the 3 that will kick the graduation initiative off. Our hope is to, Superintendent and I have talked, we want to start the first one off, and it's the Of Course I Am. And that particular TikTok strategy is, it's an overview of some things that are viral right now on TikTok. And so they're takes on them, but they're looking at it through a graduation lens. So the first one is, Of Course I Am. And so the superintendent's going to start off with a kickoff video. Of course I'm the superintendent and I care about our graduation rates, and have an honest conversation with our community about where we're at right now, and not just the need for us to go ahead and lift the work, but that it's the work of everyone. It's the work of this board, it's the work of the superintendent, it's my work, it is our parents' work, it's our teachers' work, and it's our students' work. And then the next one is one that both Traci and I were like, oh my gosh, we can't wait to do this. So the next one is Pass the Cap, and that one's going to be punctuated by hopefully Dr. McNeil will have her graduation cap, and she's going to throw it offside to superintendent. He's going to catch it, and then he's going to say, I'm doing this for, and he's going to throw it down to maybe a board member, or to a principal, or possibly somebody in the central office. Then it'll go to a principal. Then the next person that'll catch it will be a senior in high school, and he's going to say he's doing it for, until we get this big, huge graduation cap and put it on this little kindergartner's head, and he's going to let everybody know he's the future. And so we're super excited about that as well. And then just kind of like a really cute play on Started from the Bottom, Now We're Here. It's how it started. We'll be looking at what's happening in kindergarten classrooms across the district for the next couple of months. And then that particular TikTok is scheduled to go out in, I think it's going to be going out in May. And that's just celebrating where our seniors and our kindergartners are at right now. And what are the type of things that we're doing in the district to support both of those efforts? So why are we doing it? Well, I'm excited that Mr. Steward came and actually presented beforehand, because several of the things that are in the enrollment initiative actually overlap to the graduation initiative. And as Mr. Steward has mentioned more times than I can count, it's important that we have academic programming and opportunities to match the enrollment initiative, attendance initiatives, because if we don't have quality opportunities for kiddos to come to our district, then we're not doing the justice of this particular district, and we're not doing the justice to our young people. So one of the reasons why we're doing this, we wanted to have good retention rates. We want to increase our graduation rate, not just for the purpose of having our students be successful, but we also want to be able to support the district in having positive numbers, increasing the school index, and then being able to have a story that we can proudly tell through the data that's supported by the MDE. Last but not least, the timeline's a little aggressive for the end of this year, but we are going to try to get as many of these initiatives in as possible. The goal is after we have this was shown to you all first, This will be taken to cabinet and to principals and to get additional input to see if there's other activities that we're missing and or to make sure that we can coordinate schedules and dates and calendars to appropriately support just the board's availability, the superintendent's availability, because there's a lot of folks that are involved in this. So the plan is to have an implementation guide to you find folks within the next couple of weeks with solid dates on when these things will come to fruition and take place and be shared with you, as well as your TikTok scripts that have already been written for you and the whole 9 yards. And so some of the other things that we're looking at doing is making sure that we have a building action leader list and support. We wanted to make sure that the things that we're doing are things that really center around things that we already are, but we're improving the outcomes and improving the implementation of these practices. So making sure that we're doing a on-track dashboard audit. Again, that work begins with our counselors. They're doing the hard work of pulling the numbers, and then we'll be putting that and implementing that into next week, and I'll be able to bring word back to the board after that work has been solidified. The Power 10 mentorship is working on a script right now for folks that maybe have not had the opportunity to mentor and may not have all of the tools that they need necessary to be a powerful mentor to young people that might be at risk. So there could be some little bit of professional development, both for students that could be mentors, but also for adults as well. And last but not least, making sure that we are doing district graduation lobby branding with the countdown to graduation in all of our elementary buildings, where we'll be supporting those efforts, providing the posters to them. We really didn't want them to have to lift a lot. We want to have it worked out for them and be able to support them appropriately. And then last but not least, making sure that we are that we're staying on track and on time with the TikTok PR captures. We heard Dr. McNeil loud and clear that she wanted us to make sure that we had some of that type of business in the work that we're doing, and so I feel like we've met the mark there. Last but not least, you're going to see on the next slide, which you do not have, and I apologize that it's not in your deck. I was working with a couple of tech people trying to get this prototype to work well, and in the limitations of technology that we have right now, because this is not live on our website yet, this is a prototype for the Flint Community Schools Parent Success Hub. And what it will include is several links that allow parents to go directly to the things that they need to get to in order to help their students be successful. Some of those things include, but are not limited to, there could be additional links that would be added to this particular page. And this was going to be a video for you, so you could see the prototype in action, but we just couldn't get the actual tech part to work. So you'll have a link to Parent View, which will allow parents to go directly to Parent View and to see their students' grades and whatnot. To the Student Code of Conduct book, which will allow our parents to know, what are our practices, rules, and the things that help our students to be successful. The Support Hub will go ahead and take the link directly to the Learning Support Services web page, where parents can learn more if their students are in peril and need to be able to be navigated in a quick manner rather than having to look, all over the website. And then Future Ready goes to our scholarship page, which allows the parents to connect directly to the scholarship page and to be able to fill out scholarships, college applications, and of the like. Beneath it, you'll see it says the Success Pathways. Those are live links that take parents to a variety of places that can help them to understand those particular things a little bit more. One of the things and the reason why the technology was a little clunky is because I embedded into it an option for it to read to parents. And so it just taking into consideration that some of our parents might need the support in navigating this information. And so all of those links will go to things that can help parents to understand phonic mastery, strategies that they could use to support their student in achieving 95% attendance. Again, parent view registration, linking them to their direct data for the district around our M-STEP, and then understanding opportunities for after-school enrichment, which would go to the Center for Excellence webpage. And then finally, follow the success journey would be attached to our TikTok page. On the left side of the hub, you'll see what's called a FCS assistant. The FCS assistant is an AI counselor that's been directed to drive all of the information from the strategic plan, from the MyKit plan, which is your Michigan Continuous Improvement Plan that's posted on our website, our our annual education report pages, and any other significant parts of the website that help parents to navigate things that they need to understand a little bit better for their students' success. But what's really exciting about this little widget is that the parent can ask it a variety of questions, and it will respond to it in common practical language that's very straightforward, and that's what the AI has been directed to do. And so the response that the AI assistant, the AI counselor, as it calls itself, will speak directly to the parents, give them practical tips, and will give them no-cost things that they can do at home with their young person to help them be successful at school. Direct them to areas in our community that also support the literacy network and whatnot. So hoping to be able to get this kicked off by the time that, my goal is to make sure that we have it by the start of the school year. That work will take place with Aptigee, with our website, and right now we're researching to find out how we can get that done. And with that, I think that's our last slide to the finish line together. Superintendent, would you like me to pause in between the two or go on through?
So right now, board members, we have completed the graduation initiative documentation and slides. So we can pause before we go into the academic growth and proficiency information.
So do board member have any quick comments, maybe a couple of minutes?
Madam Chair.
Let me finish my statement, and then I get you. So if we can kind of keep it short, because we got another presentation to do in respect for our audience and their time. Trustee Rutherford.
You guys did a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate that, Trustee Rutherford.
Anyone else?
That's what I was going to say. They did a great job.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Just I want to say two questions. I get somewhere else. The credit recovery, the 24/7 access, is that for only ALA students?
No, the plan is, well, it actually, our students at Southwestern have access. We need to probably address some scheduling issues in all honesty as it pertains to 0 and 7th hours. Edgenuity is the current platform that we use. They have access to it, but we'd like to be able to evaluate, investigate how we can make it more robust. One of the issues that happens is that our students, currently we don't have a policy where most districts do have a policy in regards to failure. Last week in our partnership meeting, we had the wonderful opportunity to have our board members in present for our partnership, conversations. And while they were there, this came up. Most districts have a 1.5 credit recovery threshold. So if a student goes below 1.5, they already take themselves out of the 4-year cohort.
Okay.
We'll talk a little bit more about cohort in the academic presentation.
Got you. So where I was going with that piece, I think my colleague Treasurer Lona mentioned this, how we have Flex High, Michigan virtual schools, so we can increase enrollment by gathering those students. If they're already doing credit recovery there, if we can advertise that in a way to gather those students for when we think about enrollment, they're doing this. If they're doing that, and we're going to do the same thing here, why not advertise that in a way to get the Flex High students, the Michigan virtual school students, all those students for credit recovery, and other districts around, if that's where we're going to advertise a piece, hey, let's grab those students. That's increased enrollment right there, right off the bat. 24/7 access that you just mentioned, do some more training with parents, what that looks like, and I think we can do that. My next question, I think you answered the Parent Success Hub. You said there's a demo?
It is, it's just a prototype right now.
Okay, do you have a video? You said you had a video, but it couldn't play, right?
Yeah, it wasn't,
Could you
it was
send
really
that
clunky.
to us in an email?
Absolutely.
To view? Who came up with this?
Well, It was me.
Okay,
But-
take credit. No, listen, take credit for
Ms.
what you
Fields.
own, okay? I want you
Great
to
job,
own,
great job.
own the
Thanks.
thing. So that's a good job with that.
And I mean, so my whole team right now is up at McCall Conference Center. If I could just,
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd like to drop this, the importance of this and the importance of how artificial intelligence we have a responsibility to use it both ethically and responsibly. And so that's what my team is up doing right now at McCall Center. And one of the things that we'd like to do is just build a greater understanding around how to use it. And so this was my attempt to be able to integrate in a ethical way with purposeful intention. And we'll talk more about it in the future because your
Where is
support's
McCall?
going to need, huh?
Where's McCall?
McCall is at Grand Rapids.
Okay, so Ms. Fields she was at McCall today, and she did drive back for this presentation, so I appreciate her doing
Yes,
that
we
as
do.
well.
Yeah.
It's a great job.
The goal is to, by next year, when we enroll this, is to also have it on a QR code.
Okay.
And so it can be accessible to everyone, and they'll be able to use it. We can post it around the district, but more importantly, we can send it home to our families once we're able to get it kicked off, and they can keep it right on their refrigerator, their door, their bulletin board, wherever they might put it. And so it would be a tool that would be fluid, because we would want to be able to add to it as things change in the scope of, a success.
I'm excited. One thing I always want to commend leadership when you present new, bold ideas. And one of the things, the bold idea is the use of AI. You didn't skirt it away and say we're not using, you're embracing it. Education, I think having that using a cube for the parent education, how to properly use AI, the grandparents as well. I'm late at night, I'm tired. I want to know, help my grandson. Let me use the AI tool right here. Let me have this conversation now, so I'm prepared for a conversation with the teacher on the next day. So I want to commend you and the team for these bold ideas we've been presenting so far. Enrollment, presenting amazing new ideas. This here is innovative, and I want to commend you and your leadership for doing that. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. You want to go to the next?
We can, if the board is
Proceed.
ready.
Yes.
All right.
So this is me and Tracy, because we have done a lot of work over this in the last couple of weeks. And so I'm going to go ahead and defer to her to start, and then we'll go ahead and jump into it.
Yeah, we're super excited to present the new final data that's out, especially around the graduation rate and attendance. But one of the things, as we talked in consultation with Superintendent Jones, we did add 2 slides that you will not see in your book, but we think is very important after hearing the board talk about partially proficient students and show actually all the numbers, because there's great opportunity to move more kids to proficiency. So we decided, thank you, Superintendent Jones, that we could drop those 2 slides in so you can see that data also.
So for our district strategic growth report, I'd like to add before we get started that the particular goals or the particular data that we're sharing today is kind of in the precursor of our next partnership agreement. Part of your new partnership agreement does mandate that we have an attendance goal in here, and where I'm going to be speaking on attendance today, I'd like to be clear that Mr. Stewart and I will be working together with the attendance goal, and that the initiative really is led by him and the amazing Miss Cassania Amenue back there, and everybody should give her all her flowers all the time because she is fantastic. So they're going to be supporting us in those areas as well. I'm just going to be sharing the data as it pertains to the partnership agreement tonight, and I'm sure that he's still over there, so if we got questions, he can answer some of those too. Graduation success we'll be looking at this evening as far as that data is concerned. And we've had some great wins in attendance. If I could just go back really quick, with the 78% district attendance with a 4.4 percentage point gain from the baseline that you'll see in the coming data. We also have graduation success that we can celebrate this evening by an achieved 52.3% is the 4-year graduation rate, which is an increase in the last few years. As a district, we're looking at the district numbers. There's different numbers for each school, but that's the district number. And then last but not least, there is some academic recovery because we have had some proficiency increases as it pertains to the work we did in the last partnership agreement. And so really this work is kind of rooted in that in preparation for providing you the new framework for the partnership. That agreement is due on Monday. Is at the finality of its draft. It will be shared with the board with the final goals, and that work will be coming forth to you in the next month. So for our student attendance and engagement, we're going to be looking at detailed attendance snapshot and the fact that we have baseline information of 73.84 for 21-22. We're looking at what the current attendance daily average is of 78.25, with again a total gain of 44.41. And the next slide, please. Thank you. And so with our baseline, both of these are showing you 2 points of attendance data. The first one is your daily attendance rate, and you'll see that from our baseline data of 21-22, we have 73.84. The succession of daily attendance went up a couple of points in 2022-23, kind of chilled out a little bit on the 23-24, and then we had another increase last year. I think that the one of the things that's worthy of mentioning is that we did some very intentional work around making sure that attendance agents were at the table with principals and leadership teams the previous year, and did some amazing work. And the Strive for 5 initiative. We plan on continuing to embolden our principal leaders and our buildings with support around Strive for 5, both through the use of title dollars, but also through the getting them resources to continue to professionally develop and provide them the best strategies possible to support the work they're doing. In addition to that, we have chronic absenteeism, which where chronic absenteeism is defined by all students are held to attendance standards. They are not tethered out by the full academic year student, which we'll talk a little bit about in the coming slides. And our chronic absenteeism is defined by any student that misses 10 or more days in their enrollment period with us. So that could be if a kid had been with us for 20 days, or it could be 180. If they miss 10 days, they become chronically absent. 10%. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, 10%. 10%. And so you'll see that we were able to go ahead and decrease the number of students that were also chronically absent too. That work is in large part from the hard work of the attendance agents, the hard work of Miss Emanuel. I think I just prophesied something for her. For Miss Emanuel, and then also led by Mr. Steward and the building principals who do really, really hard work in making sure that they support. This is just a visual of that same data to be able to put it in perspective that we're taking it in the right direction, that we're increasing attendance and we're decreasing chronic absenteeism. And so for academic recovery, some of the things that have happened in the district is that we've been working on instructional alignment and targeted interventions, utilizing an MTSS framework, making sure that we are identifying appropriate interventions and providing teachers the necessary support that they need through professional development to be able to implement those particular interventions. Data highlights are significant with a bounce back growth in some various areas. When you drill down to grades, it looks a little better in some ways than the overall picture, and I think that that's one of the things that we really want to be able to discuss with you today. Did you want to jump in, or you want me to go through those first? Okay. So this is a familiar slide to you before. If you have either been in your board presentations and seen this particular slide, and this is the very most latest MSTEP data that we have. You can see that of an overview. I'm not going to like pick it apart for you, and I know that we've done such great work at this board table around understanding the data, and so we wanted to provide you just in the clearest way possible. This is the numbers that we're being held accountable for. This is an overview of where we are at in the building level, and this is the success that we've had. I left Traci and I had talked about, really leaving them not met and met. Well, that's going to be language that we're going to continue to have to embrace and that we're going to have to consider and think about. And so we decided to leave it on to be able to support and help you to see more clearly where our schools sit at in regards to ELA proficiency. You want to speak anything else on that one? All righty. All right, so our next one it really talks about like the numbers of kids that were held accountable for. Those are the grade levels of which the state looks at and holds us accountable for. And as we've talked about before, when students are tested, the only students that the state holds us accountable for as far as assessment in our school index is concerned and the way they measure us is through students that have been through both counts, day one with us, and they are with us at day 180. And so this just is an overview, and we'll be sending these on to you, so you do have these particular as well. No, these are the ones that Traci had added.
Okay.
Did you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Well, I'll just quickly say in our last board meeting, or the last time I was here, Trustee King asked
Excuse
for,
me. I got kind of distracted. You were talking and somebody asking questions. I couldn't hear you. Go
Oh,
ahead.
I was just stating, these two slides were specifically added. At the last time we presented, you asked, Trustee King asked about it, partially proficient kids. So we just decided to show you what you would see as the public. This is
Okay.
information that you would get from the website, so you will be able to see how many kids are proficient, how many kids are non-proficient,
Yes,
how many
yes, I
kids are
remember.
partially proficient,
Okay.
and how it adds up.
And so really understanding the constraints under which we are measured, and that the number of students, Superintendent Jones felt it was very important for you to understand too, what's the number of students that was tested? Because when you start talking about 4% of what you think is 2,700 students, it really becomes 4% of a much smaller number. And the data data does what it does, right? And so it's important to tell the full story.
Ms. Fields?
Yes, sir.
A part of that is, as we continue and the board continue learning from Ms. Traci and us about the data, it's important to know that, yes, you have 2,700 students, 26, yeah, it fluctuates. When you see that you have, I'm going to give you an example, 12 students proficient in math, you cannot equate that to 2,700 kids, because we never test 2,700 kids or our full enrollment for several reasons. Some students come late, right, so they're not counted in the full year testing cycle, or students don't test in that cycle because of whatever reason, chronic absenteeism, or other issues, health issues that happen. So I just want to make sure that when you're hearing numbers, you're not thinking 2,700 kids and we only have, right? You have to use the tested number so that you can understand from that point of view, okay? All right, thank you.
And just a, not necessarily correction, but just to reiterate around that, is that the availability to test is available for every single student
Absolutely.
that's required to. But again, just there's reasons why they don't show up. If we could go to the next slide. And again, this is just math proficiency. It is a slide that you're familiar with, but it aligns to both the baseline information. Our baseline for our new partnership agreement will be the spring 2025 numbers. And so I just think it's important that we go ahead and keep track, and we're aware of what it is, and we're aware of where our strengths and weaknesses lie at, and the areas where we really want to drill into. With the partnership agreement? So one of the things I think that's been most confusing and probably the most cumbersome for not just the board members, but quite frankly, it's a challenge for everybody, is that 3% increase that the state required for us to do. One of the things I think that's very important to understand is that the state, that's based upon norms, that's based upon choices and decisions that they have made in their partnership agreement with schools across the district who are engaged. And so the recommendation for those particular goals were meant to build on success and to help districts be able to reach it. We acknowledge and understand the fact that 3% can sound like it doesn't believe in our students, because if we only think they can live to 3%, And just a reminder is that it's what the state says. Your strategic plan can actually have different goals from your partnership agreement, and you can hold them to higher degree.
And then just let me add, because we had a lot of rich discussion about this and where the board was. In the partnership plan, it's 1% each year with the 3 years. So it's not 3% every year. So when you look at the score, they go back to the baseline, and then at the end, if they made 3%, it's met through the partnership. But the team is very clear that the partnership is only schools in the partnership. It doesn't include all the schools in Flint. And that's where the board can set a KPI for the system of what they would like to see for the entire district for growth and proficiency. And I think there's a good marriage between the two of those, understanding that we are working with numbers. And so if you look at the kids that are partially proficient, we have to have reasonable goals that, you know, we're not going to say we want to see a 50% increase and then you run the numbers. You can run the numbers partially proficient and figure out what's a logical number that we can move year over year and still have a high expectation, because you also want to build a culture where people are successful, teachers are successful. If you say, I want to see all the kids proficient next year, we know that's not going to happen, right? But we are building a system that is not reactive, but is proactive to getting kids to the finish line from pre-K to graduation.
And again, we just put that other, next slide, please. It's not going. Okay. Yeah, that's it. And again, these are just the numbers that support the last slide that was up there, just to illuminate the points that have been reiterated about the number of students that test and the data narrative that's constructed from it. So overall, I think that there's celebration in order for Eisenhower. They did a fantastic job of raising scores under the leadership of Mr. Eddie Thomas and their staff over there. They were intentional. They were poignant. They were very, very well planned out in executing a plan. And not only did they end up raising their school index scores, their math scores, their English scores, they also ended up being removed from the partnership agreement and are now out of partnership. Additionally, celebrations should be in order for another cut, even though that's a program that we closed. The great leadership of Mrs. Cook and Master is at Freeman now, and we have full confidence and anticipation that those same strategies and expectations that were held at Nethercutt will also be the predominating tone and tenor for Freeman as well. And last but not least, I mean, I'm really super excited to be celebrating ALA and some graduation increase in their numbers with a 6.7 increase in their math proficiency. Go ahead, yep.
Really quickly say, Trustee Booth and I had an opportunity last month to visit Eisenhower. And the work that he's doing with data walls with kids and kindergartners, that kindergarten teacher, like I told her I'd steal her and take her anywhere. Just because those kindergartners are doing goals and charts and placing them up. So if you ever have an opportunity to go visit those kindergarten rooms, it's amazing what the kids can articulate at kindergarten, what's expected of them. So that means there's a culture of high expectation for those kids. So it's not a surprise to me to see these scores soar the way they have.
And for our next slide, again, we can celebrate Eisenhower on their growth in ELA proficiency comparison. And again, Nethercutt, and then notably Southwestern has done some good work around literacy and been able to move their literacy needle from is that 13? Yeah, 0.6. Right. And so the pathway to graduation and cohort readiness, that's where this data leads us to, in all honesty. And it's where the rubber meets the road. How are we going to support the efforts of students being successful and being able to move into post-secondary programming? How are we going to build pathways that continue to support and celebrate the the energy of Flint Community Schools and the type of energy we're trying to create. I think that's our last one. Oh, graduation cohort year. Yeah, the graduation rates. I thought we did the last one. So excitingly enough, we have the total cohort size of those particular classes. And I think it's important for you to know the fluctuation in enrollment and your graduating classes when they come in, how many we have, and then how many we lose around the way to dropout graduation rates. And so you'll see that we started with we're at a 52, but we're at 43 from the baseline average, and that our dropout rate has also been successful in decreasing the number of dropouts by providing the proper supports with ALA and credit recovery, from building in a college and career advisor at Southwestern and counseling in the previous past. That has helped us to be able to identify the students that are at risk. So there's things that are happening in the district that are undergirding the graduation initiative. We need to improve those particular practices to make sure that they're monitored on a consistent basis and that we are providing the proper supports for teachers and principals to be able to help those young people get to the finish line. And the four-year graduation dropout rate, this is just, again, I'm big on making sure that I provide visuals for people. A lot of folks don't necessarily love the numbers, but the visual tells the story in itself. And these are just a visual way for you to look at those numbers. So the core outcomes, as summarized, is 52.3 is our baseline four-year graduation rate for the district. That is not, again, the individual graduation rates for each of our high school programs, and the dropout rate is at 24.7. So, how are we going to get there? And we're taking it on home, friends. By one of the ways that we're going to do it is we're going to be able to provide enhanced family engagement and targeting chronically absent students. Again, many of the layers in the enrollment initiative are also layered in the attendance initiative and also layered in the academic initiative. It's important that we work in collaboration and we work smarter, not harder, that we identify what things that we're doing in order to be able to support appropriately and not stretch ourselves really far, of continuing to be able to utilize our MSTEP baseline alignment for not just mid-year teaching, but for planning our years out. One of the things that we're focusing on in the academic department is centering data. My team said I made them a little uncomfortable when I brought it up, but in a great way, and I was like, that's wonderful. I love when we're uncomfortable. That means we were gonna grow. And then finally, on centering the Flint Community Schools Graduation Initiative, and then just having intentional transitions, because quite frankly, it's not just about when kindergartners move to first grade. It's about what are we doing to support 6th to 7th grade? What are we doing to support transitions from 8th to 9th grade? So I plan to come in the very near future to be able to talk with you good folks about what that could look like as well, and to have some very clear steps as well as timelines to be able to support that. And finally, evaluating what we're doing, making sure that we are looking at what we're doing, monitoring what we're doing, have feedback on what we're doing, and then being able to center data in order to be able to help students identify the areas that they need to grow in by standards tracking, by developing goal sheets, by helping students to understand their goals and them to understand their data as well. And I think one of the most exciting things about, one of the things that Mr. Thomas, he shared this a while ago, and I think it's important to also just double down on what Ms. Davis was saying. When students start having conversations about their data and you're not a part of it, and that's what's happening at Eisenhower. And that's the level of discourse that we have to build in students when you can see the two of them standing at a data board arguing about who did better.
Yes, I
Right?
love that. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Board members, any questions or thoughts?
Yeah, and
Tracy?
we're going to close with, listen, you can play the numbers and graduate kids and get diplomas if you understand the system. What is happening here is we're building a system around rigor and relevance early, right? Because we don't just want kids to have a diploma. Right. We want them to walk out of Flint community schools and be able to get jobs, go to the military, have, any career technical. So building a solid system pre-K to 12 to do this work, and just excited to continue working with Kelly on this work, and we will come back and report out quarterly and bring you some examples of this work that we've been building out, so you can see, hopefully you will see it in schools as we continue to this work through the next year, so you can see examples of work. And I talk to kids, like if we do this right, we should be talking to kids, community, and parents about these 4 R's and how it relates to them getting to the finish line.
Congratulations.
Well, I'm just going to tell y'all, you're getting your scripts in a couple weeks, and when you get your scripts, I want to make sure you know what you're doing. So I plan on the
Okay.
TikToks better be TikToking.
We got a TikTok expert here. Teray gonna make sure we get this together. Trustee
You're
King.
in charge, producer.
Okay, any question, Trustee King? I'm gonna go around, Dick, we can wrap it up.
Yeah, one couple things I want to also mention and something to highlight, because I always say that big ships turn slow. From the detailed attendance snapshot, our baseline for 2021, our attendance rate was at 73.84%. Currently, we are at 78.25. So we're slowly increasing our attendance rate. Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. And then the chronic absenteeism for 2021 was at 80%. That was high. Slowly, we made a 7% decrease to 73.80%.
Yeah.
I want to commend the team for that, because that was not an easy feat. I know due to the efforts of, we have our attendance agents, building principals, making phone calls, doing all the things necessary to get kids into school. I want to recognize the team for that. And also, Traci Davis, thank you for sharing that slide, the number of proficiency. I would love, when I get it, I love to see that. Because oftentimes, as I shared before, seems like, man, okay, we didn't meet in here, but we have some kids that's close on that line to push. And it'd be amazing to see what are we doing in here to push those kids into proficiency categories, and also how do we get our kids that's not proficient at all to partially, and we keep moving on. And Superintendent, I think it's, when we talk about academics in our workshops going forward, we break it down by school. How many kids in this specific school are partially proficient? How do we move the metrics here? What are we doing to move them to proficiency? And we see that working through academics as we talk about raising the bar and standards for our kids, diving school by school, and even seeing what Eisenhower is doing. And Mr. Thomas and team want to, give them a big shout out for their leadership and leading the way for the district. But taking some of those practices, how do we implement that into different schools to be able to make the similar impact? Yes, to be different personalities, different ways, but those principles and core foundational tools that teachers are using, we can definitely share and steal. We don't have to work in silos. So I'm curious to see how the team would take that information and make some adjustments. For the graduation rate, we are at an all-time low for our dropout rate of 24.7%. That took a lot of work as well. I don't want to forecast this. Now, we're not at our graduation rate where we want to be, but one of the things I always try to recognize is the progress we're making. And so, Ms. Traci Davis, thank you for bringing the graduation initiative and having a conversation and pushing us to do even more and pushing the needle. I'm excited to see how we're focused on the cohorts all the way down to the kindergartens, how we move it. Seeing this operating from this standpoint, I'm excited to see what the future will lie for us. So thank you for your work on this presentation and your team. Thank you, Ms. Davis, for being here and keep pushing the needle for us.
If I could, I do need to say this, and it would be remiss not to say, our community health workers are also part of the team that has helped with that, and I think in the partnership and the fact that they are one of our partners, it's just important to celebrate them as well.
Trustee Relaford.
Thank you. Thank you for mentioning community health workers, because I know they make phone calls every day. But my question is, first of all, you gave a lot of information, great job. And I looked at the dropout rate, and I guess it's for you and Mr. Steward. Are we going after those students who dropped out? I think that would be a great avenue to go after, but be prepared for the wraparound services that they may need. And with the partnership we have with Hamilton, I think that would be a great avenue to incorporate that behavioral or just their needs with Hamilton, so it could take a lot of the onus off of Flint schools, so you guys continue to focus. And also, the best practices that you mentioned, how are you going to incorporate those in other buildings too? I would love to see like a team that goes from building to building with the same concept, to not interrupt what's going on, but to just take what they've learned and go from building to building, having a unique or identified team that does that. And then also, I always say school is a dress rehearsal for the real world. And are we preparing our students for the real world? But one of the main things I would love is to see a quarterly meeting with every, make sure I say this right, with every individual, not per se, every department or every contract meet, so that the synergy can be used. Anyone that impacts a child should be in that meeting, so that everyone can hear it from different lenses to see how we can impact the students immediately. Because if you don't, the goal is always having the right person at the table. Because if you missing one person, that could delay you by about 6 months. So it looks like you guys have a great framework. I appreciate all the due diligence that went into this. I just want to see the implementation. And then also, even if something doesn't work, it doesn't mean we stop, make adjustments and keep going. So I applaud you guys. Thank you.
Trustee
First of all, you did an outstanding job. You know your material, you know the structure of it, and then you teach it well. It comes across really well. I love that Strive for 5. I was just in a meeting with Kelly and Mr. Steward and them, and I didn't really understand it, and they broke it down, and I saw how beneficial it was across the board. I think that should be a precedent that's set to focus on that, and then I think the attendance will be enhanced greatly. So, other than that, you did a fantastic job. Thank you.
I would like to say, you know, the visit we had over at Eisenhower a few months ago, those babies, they're young. We talking about kindergartners and first graders. They knew what their goals were to be for that year. And they had them posted on their lockers. I think that was just outstanding. You know, I'm standing at the lockers looking at these little kids. I had never looked at lockers before. But that day, I went down each one of those lockers and looked, and they had a goal and they had a target, each locker for those kids. And I thought that was outstanding. But I want to commend Mr. Stewart for his work with maintaining, trying to keep these kids in school, because it's hard nowadays. You know, I have talked to some parents, transportation, family matters, mental health, all these are playing into the, factoring into why parents can't get their kids to school, or, you know, different scenarios. It's more now, today, you know, years ago, people would get past all those things. But now it's kind of like, you know, families are really struggling, you know, financially, socially. So I commend him for doing the work that he do, and his staff. I think they're doing a phenomenal job. I had never thought about attendance like I have this year, but if the kids are not in school, they will not learn. So, you know, that's what and I ditto everything that my colleagues, I was going to say co-workers, colleagues have said, because everything they mention is very important as well.
Trustee McIntyre.
Yeah, I don't want to drag this out too much by repeating a lot of things that have already been said, but I really appreciate all of this hard work and the explanation for it. I'm glad that a lot of what, like I see all the time with the data is getting highlighted and explained, and it's hard to look at, but we've got to, you know, you've got to have that information in order to know what you're dealing with and how to change it and move forward. So I'm so glad that we're doing this deep dive, and both of you are doing an amazing job with the data. I'm very gratified, even though, you know, it's kind of sobering to look at some of the numbers. And I just wanted to highlight to the community what a team looks like. Like it's not just one person doing this or one person doing that, but it's this collaborative, co-melded effort. And you can see it's not easy. There isn't something where there's a silver bullet that can fix these decades of issues and problems that we've inherited. But we're hopeful, we're enthusiastic, and, you know, we're putting in the hard work to do this. You know, it's something that you just have to keep getting up every day and going for it, because for me, working with data and numbers and statistics, it's always in the back of my mind that these are individuals, these are children. And so it just breaks my heart when I see proficiency rates. You know, that's somebody's spirit, that's somebody's hopes and dreams. If they're being told they're not proficient, you know, so I'm excited that we're looking at the partial proficiency, just to, you know, it's a matter of like supporting the individual, supporting the whole child, you know, through numbers, but seeing beyond the numbers to the story, to the life that's behind it. So I said I wasn't going to go on and on, but here I am. So let me just stop. And
I appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
Only thing I can say, the community spoke, you listened. The teachers speaking, we're listening. Congratulations to this academic board, because everybody was participating. And when everybody participating and everybody's listening, this is what results look like. And we don't have to stay here all night to hear good results. Congratulations to your team. Congratulations. And I really want to get a shout out to the parents, because without parent participation, we cannot get attendance in order. And maybe we'll look at giving some type of award and certificate to our parents. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you.
Mr. Jones. Yeah.
All right, Board of Education, we are going to move to our next. We're going to, I seek a motion and a second from the board to approve action item 1.7, authorization to approve.
No, excuse me.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jones. This is rude. Proceed.
Okay. I seek a motion and a second from the board to approve action item 1.7, authorization to approve the consulting service agreement with J.D. Newberry Consulting, LLC.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve item 1.7.
Support.
Is this a second? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. It's been properly moved in second. Is there any discussion? Trustee Rutherford.
I must have been reading my mind. Well, hello, Miss Joanne. Can I call you Miss Joanne, or you want me to say?
Joan.
Miss Joan, okay.
Yes.
I've read your contract. I will say it is very, it's one of the best contracts that's came before the board. I thought it was very thorough. I only have one question, and it just may just be me.
Sure.
It's the lodging and travel.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Lodging and travel.
Yes.
Explain that part to me.
I live in Missouri, and Dr. Cook Robinson called me a few weeks back and asked me if I would come up and help.
Okay.
I have family in the area, so That's where the major portion of the,
So you reside in Missouri.
I do.
So Dr. Cook Robinson go pick up that. I'm just kidding, Dr. Robinson. But I can see the need, no, honestly, in reading this and what you bring to the table, I can see the need because this is a stretch, pre-K through 8. This will be new territory. Definitely, I don't think there's a pre-K through 8 public school. I don't recall one being in Flint. I've been here a little while, a couple of decades. So to see this is going to be a major lift. And how many years of experience do you have in doing this?
I have over 20 years of experience in human resources, 17 of them in public education.
Okay. And have you done this before, provide this type of consulting before?
Not separate from my job, no.
Okay. No further questions?
Any other board member have any questions in your package regarding this agreement?
Madam Chair.
Proceed.
First thing, just not really a question. I was reading over the contract. First, thank you, Dr. Wanda Cook-Robertson, for bringing outside services in just to give us an outside perspective, leveraging your experience in public education, human resources. I'm excited to see the outcome of the HR audit here. We've been, we mentioned it a couple of times at the table, but hearing you come and seeing you here shows me your commitment. You didn't just come zoom in, you came flying in here. So thank you for being here.
Anyone else?
If I could just add, good evening to the board.
Yes.
I called Joan because Joan has worked for me before. I stole her from Detroit Public Schools. But don't put that in the minutes.
Too late.
When I was superintendent in Southfield, I heard such good things about her. I had her come to Southfield, and she worked for me for 10 years there as the director of human resources. And then we promoted her to assistant superintendent of human resources. And while there, she did parts of this work for us so that we could move forward as we extended. I know that all of you know that in Southfield, we built and created a high school, and she was instrumental in helping us with the staffing. This is a critical component that we're going to need information as we move forward. And I hope to even share more of this framework with the board in the next couple of weeks so that I can kind of give you an overview of what's needed and where we're going. I want to do a shout out to the Mott Foundation and the Thomas, who I have called, I think, several times, and I'm glad he didn't hang up on me as I said, this is what I want to do. How do I do it? And also to Kelly. Kelly has been my ride or die on this, working closely with me through these grants and helping me 2 hours in the evening to make sure that I put the budget together the way that Flint needed to receive it in those budget lines so that we could move forward. And to the superintendent, who has been very, very closely working with me as we start this initiative of building a new high school. This is the critical component of the instructional framework that we're getting ready to build. We're going to have a better understanding of what is our human resource here in the district. If this is where we are, and this is where we want to go, what has to happen in between? How many teachers do we have that are certified middle school? Do we have enough? Are we going to have to seek out others? How do we do that? How do we retain what we have? How do we encourage others? And if we don't have enough, how are we going to have to get creative about instructional delivery? But we need this component to start that. And I'll share more with you when we have an opportunity as a core team to start looking at this, because there are going to be some other components that are going to come to the board to do this. But this particular component is grant funded. It is out of the K-8 transition and athletic strategy grant that will be paying for this.
Thank you so much. Is there any other discussions? Seeing no further discussion.
Well, Madam Chair, question for you. Can that grant be added on this resolution where it's coming from? Can that be added to this resolution?
No, we can.
I'm just asking, so that, I mean, because I was looking where was the funding coming from, but she answered
Oh,
it.
you want to know what it?
Right. Can it be listed on there? Just a question. Mr. Jones, or?
Yes, I'm sorry. What's the question?
Where's the funding coming for this 20?
She,
This is out of the grant that the board approved in December. This is out of the K-8,
She
the
said it.
Enrollment Initiative Grant.
I just want to know if it could be added onto this, where the
Sure.
funding was coming from. Because
Sure.
I think we started that on all the resolution, lets us know where the funding is coming from. And I just think that's a good practice to keep up.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
the info.
Yes.
Seeing no further discussion, the motion to approve action item 1.7, authorization to approve the consultant service agreement. Secretary Perkins.
Yes.
Trustee Booth.
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre.
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford. Trustee King.
Yes.
Myself. Yes. Are you not voting, Trustee Rutherford?
No, you let me,
I
no,
gave everybody the
I
same
was just
amount
saying
of
no.
time. You
No.
said no.
I'm saying no.
1, 2, 3, 4. We got 5 yes, 6 no. Congratulations, welcome aboard.
Five yes, 1 no.
Yep, I said 5 yes, 1 no,
Yes,
and
ma'am.
1 absent.
Yes, ma'am.
Great job, looking forward to working
Thank
for
you.
you. Board members, I would like to seek a motion and a second to approve item 11.21, approval of the zero balance budget audit.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I move to approve item 11.21.
Support.
it's been properly moved and second. Is there any discussions?
Madam Chair,
Yes,
I would say thank you. That's it.
Amen.
So,
that's the best answer. The motion to approve action item 11.21 would approve, the approval of the zero balance budget. Secretary Perkins.
Yes.
Trustee Booth.
Yes.
Vice President McIntyre.
Yes.
Trustee Rutherford.
Yes.
Trustee King.
yes.
Treasurer Loon is absent. Myself is yes. 6 yes, 1 absent. At this time, I turn the floor over to Superintendent Jones for a quick update from the Lansing days.
Yes, thank you, Board President. We had the opportunity on Tuesday, March 10th, to visit Lansing for a Lansing Day with our consultants, MGS. That was a great day. Myself, Board President, and Vice President, we were able to meet with several representatives and senators on March 10th. And then from that particular day of meetings, we were called back. We were called back to speak at the Appropriations Committee meeting for Representative Kelly, who was chairing that committee. And that House Appropriations Committee was subcommittee on school aid and the Department of Education. The purpose of us going to Lansing, the board and this district has been fighting for monies to get rid of blight in our community. And in an effort to do so, this has been a long-standing fight. We had the opportunity to be in front of those that can make law and to make change for this district. And we went and we asked for over $8 million. And in return, we've been asked to give more information about all of our properties, and we're doing so now. We're preparing that information, and it was a good opportunity. You can find that information if you would like. Ms. Willis is going to be uploading that so that you can see the board president, myself, and the vice president when we spoke to the committee. But I would also like to say that we had other board members present, and there was other board members that wanted to be there but couldn't. So Trustee Perkins and also Trustee Booth, thank you for your presence and your support. It was a great couple of days, and we are looking forward to the support of legislators and the Senate to support Flint Community Schools and getting rid of some of the blight that we have, as we are the largest landowner in the community, and we do not want to see any more fires, squatting, and vandalism under our control. And I would also like to add, there was questions about Flint Community Schools spending ESSER dollars. I would like to report to the board. And if anyone would like to know how much money we spent in ESSER 1, 2, and 3, you can always visit the MDE site. It is uploaded, but Flint Community Schools also has that information. In ESSER 1, which was about $9 million, there was about $200,000 that was not spent. Only $18,000 from Flint Community Schools was not spent. But there was $100 and some odd thousands of dollars that we sent over to non-pubs. They were not able to spend that money. Flint only sent back $18,000 of $9 million in ESSER 1, which leads me to ESSER 2. Flint spent all of ESSER 2,
Yes, they did.
which was over $40 million. And it leads me to ESSER 3, which was $99 million. Flint, spent all of ESSER 3. So out of ESSER 1, 2, and 3, only $18,000 was not spent from Flint Community Schools. So I want to be clear that that's public knowledge. You're able to look that up. And we have been good stewards of those ARPA dollars, and we will be good stewards of those funds when we receive them from the state to get rid of some of the blight that we have. We still have work to do, Board President, when it comes to utilizing grant funds that we receive. We still have work to do. We receive a lot of grant funds. We still have work to do. There's areas where we're underutilizing, but when it comes to ESSER, we did spend those funds, and that was the testimony that we gave.
Thank you, Superintendent Jones.
You're welcome.
Board members, in your package on page 75 is the VARTAC monthly update for February. Do any board members have any questions?
Madam President,
Yes.
my question, I'm coming back to the demolition request. I had asked at a previous meeting if there was a list of buildings to be demolished, and I was told no. So as I look at this, how were these schools selected?
I believe the board members, as I can recall, we've been doing this for a long time. These schools was already listed, and I think Superintendent went through that and selected all the schools was ready for demolition. And so we selected those 4 of those schools. What we're trying to do now is to get every abandoned building, so we had to start somewhere.
My question is, this is a decision from the board. The board deals with the property, not the superintendent. I'm all for it, but I want things to be done decently and in order, because this should have been something that was approved by the board, and we created policy that relates to properties. We had a governance meeting to where we agreed to what would take place as it relates to properties. My only concern with this is that the entire board needs to be involved in this at all times, because when a lot of this take place, some of you all may not be on the board, so everyone need to be up to speed on what is taking place. Now, I was asked several times by individual, because I am an elected official, what about Bryant? And I couldn't answer, because I don't have the information. So I just want, moving forward, inform the entire board. This should not be where I look on Facebook and I see the buildings that's up for demolition. That's not fair, that's not right, and that's not what the public voted me in office for.
Thank you. Any more comments from the board? Seeing no further comment, the Board of Education will hold its next meeting April the 8th here at the Cube. I declare this regular board meeting adjourned.